afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to give you a speech about China industry software benchmark data. This data is by the end of the July, and have the same kind of version as the September 18 Chinese conference. It's the same version because this PPT is translated from the Chinese to English, and everyone will hear it in Spanish. So if there are some misused words, please don't laugh at me, okay? First about me, I'm the SPI China technical expert, and this picture is the last time I gave the presentation in Beijing. And I'm the Microsoft China as the senior software technical evangelist. My search field is the more personal computing and the next generation human and computer interaction. And I previously worked for Alcatel-Lucent and Nortel as the quality manager. Now today I'm so glad to present as the ISBSG data repository and every of the report from this database. And I will give you the data about China industry software benchmark about the full productivity, defect density, AMMS, and the workload distribution. And if you have the more interesting about the about the data, you can download the data from our website. Okay. About ISBSG, China is the China Software Benchmarking Standard Groups, was founded in January 1916. And SPI China built benchmark data platform, and we have the two repository. One is for software development, another is for the maintenance data, like the ISBSG. This data originate from the trusted China organizations. And the China standard released at April 1970. And last year, we cooperated with ISBSG and have the data exchange with the International Database Repository. So today's report, we all generate from the China repository. Okay. And this repository, we have the 5,971. And this kind of data is with the high reliability and the full project life cycle. And this year we have the 1,035. Last year we import the 836. And we have the same kind of selection as the ISBSG. All this data is after the 2012. And we classify the data. We have the rigorous check and cross-check for the quality before adding our repositories. Each project then assign a range from the A to D. We select from the level A and the level C data as our repository. And this is our data processing workflows. We have the three roles. One is the data author from our partners. The second one is the data administrator. It's a full-time employee which will check the data integrity and the data auditing. And then we'll assign the organization number and allocate the items. What is more important is this process. We will give the clean of the data for enormous treatment. And then after that, the clean data will give the audit expert. The expert will give the estimation and the counting for the functional point and give the processing audit. And then we have the baseline comparison. And then merge the data to the data storage. And then we give the baseline report and update the baseline database. Now let me show you the data. This is the industry-wide productivity data. You can see the average one is 7.06. That means if we work 8 hours a day, each functional point we need almost a day. And you can see the data range from the 10 percentile to 19 percentile. For the 19 percentile, maybe the 3 times. For the 75 percentile, maybe the twice time of the average one. Okay. The next one, we will separate the industry sectors productivity data. And this sequence is selected by the number of our database repository. And the finance one is the most our reliable partners. We first pilot IFPAC, COSMA, and NASMA in the China bank. And the most popular top 4 China bank use this kind of size estimating, cost estimating. For example, for the internal charge of the R&D center, and for the budget of the next year or the next section, and also for the internal charge fee of the different department of inside organization. And you can see that the average one is 12.70. It's almost it's much bigger than the average one of the world of the industry-wide productivity data. And you can see that the second one is the telecommunication software. And this kind of software is almost This kind of the software have the rigorous software process and have the full life cycle data. So it's the second round our golden partners to have the test of the size estimation and the cost estimation. And the next one is the government, and the Chinese Treasury Department use the size estimation and the cost estimation in the budget control. And the next one is the energy and the transportation and the manufacture. You can see the data of the annual one and from range of the 10 percentile to the 19 percentile, okay? And the next one you can see in the past 4 years, we have the productivity benchmark data trends. And we just discussed something. You can see that it's at the peak of the last year. And this year we involved the March project with maybe the Agile and with the application, which led the data dropped. Okay, and the next one is from the different kind of the phase, about the requirement phase and the design phase and the development phase, test phase, and the implementation phase. You can see that the development phase occupies the full 41% of the total phase. I think this data is increased from the past year. And the requirement phase is the 13%. If you have used the Agile and compared to the traditional one, maybe the requirement phase need more percentage for the Agile ones, okay? And that is the defect density, you can see that. And we try to measure the defect density of the per functional point. And the average one is the 0.38. And you can see that from the 10 percentile to the 19 percentile, each functional point we have the 0.3 defects. Okay. And the last one is the AMMS fee of the China top 10 city. You know that China is a really big country, and the economy is not so balanced. So some cities are very high, while other cities are low. You can see that I try to point out all the location of our maps, and I will give you. You know that Beijing is the capital city of the China, like the Mexico City of the Mexico. And beside of the Dalian, which is very near the Japanese. So the overseas outsourcing is the number one of the AMMS fee, about 309,016. And otherwise, of inside China, most expensive city is the Beijing. You can see that is the 3,756. And we discussion with the Finland's data. He said almost the Finland is the $30 around, and Denmark is much higher. I think this data is not so is not so crazy in you thinking. Okay, the next one is Shanghai. And the Shanghai is the 3,668. And the third is the Shenzhen. Shenzhen is in the past year, Shenzhen is the number 4, and this year is raised to number 3. Do you know that Shenzhen is the hardware center in China, which is very popular for the cheap hardware and the fast production, and very popular for the we call it as CTE and hardware ecosystem center. And Shenzhen raised 2% of the AMMS in the past 1 year. So it's the number 3 of the China city. And number 4 is Guangzhou. Guangzhou, every AMMS costs 3,537. And this 4th city is the Tier 1 city in China. And you can see the Dalian, Huangzhou, Nanjing, Xiamen, Tianjin, and Wuhan is the Tier 2 city. And Dalian is very famous for the overseas outsourcing, so the data is rather high. It's not compared with the inside software development. And Hangzhou, which is a location for the Alibaba, you do know that it's a very famous e-commercial company. And for Next East is a very famous for gaming company. And so this city is highest in the Tier 2 cities. The average one is 3,069. And the next one is Nanjing. And Nanjing is very near the Shanghai. You can take 1 hour train to Shanghai. But you can see that compared to Shanghai, Nanjing is rather low, near the 75% of the Shanghai's fee. So you can see that there's some transition of the software programming to the low-cost center. For example, we only have the software, for example, the algorithm or some high-talent software in the Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen. And others, for example, in the big data search, we have some data label and the data clean, and this kind of simple things can transition to the low-cost centers. And Xiamen is very near the Taiwan. Actually, Xiamen have a lot of the programming center from the Taiwan company. Okay, and Tianjin is very near the Beijing. You can see the place very near, and you can drive the cars just 1 hour from Beijing to Tianjin. So about the video and some regular programming changed from the Beijing transfer to Tianjin. And the last one is Wuhan. Wuhan is in the middle, is in the center of the China. It's along the Long River, and it's very famous for the car manufacture. And this place, you can see that its AMMS only maybe the 60% of the Tier 1 cities. Okay. Thank you so much.